me last week. Yes, how's it going?
We became a bestseller in 5 different categories in the UK and in one category in France.
Well done.
So how
Well
amazing is
done.
that? So I'm absolutely thrilled. But so what I'm going to do tonight is, well, I'm in two minds, and I don't know. I'll kind of go. What do you think would be the best? Because the world is so full at the moment of the Queen and the rituals and the things leading up to her funeral. But I don't know if the
Right.
Queen's out, if you know what I mean, because it's everywhere.
Right.
So the
Okay.
only
Um.
would probably
Tell us.
talking about grief. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Tell us about. Because we're live now. Tell us about your book.
well, I will tell you about my book. My book is called
Yeah.
Me and My Worry Monster. I am now officially
Right.
an Amazon UK bestseller in, as I said, 5 different categories, of which one is care and counselling, which is another is education and psychology. It is, and what I thought would be nice actually is to read the book about health, the chapter to you tonight about health, and reading that and reading the event that goes with it. Because previously, what I've done is I've gone over some of the methods that are in the book, but tonight it's about my style of writing and for sharing literally the comments that are in it and the kind of uh, untruths that we tell ourselves internally and the actual truths that help us to then manage the anxiety. How
Okay.
does that
I'll
sound?
let you. I'll let you do that, and you can take
Right.
over now.
Right. Thank you very much, Steve. So, Me and My Worry Monster, and it is snapshots of a life with anxiety and 9 methods to deal with it. Now, I know that I've gone through some of the methods previously, but tonight I thought it would be, and I know that I've read you the foreword that my sister wrote, which had me in tears the first time that I read it. But tonight, this is some writing about snapshots about health. Now, I don't know how many of you know that I am an alternative health practitioner. I am a spiritual healer. I and I am a it went in circles out. So I'll just repeat what I said. And I use lots of different modalities to help people with their health and healing. And it was about 6 months ago, I would say, that I had a very strong intuition and download, as we call it, that is at the time when we connect to our higher self, at the time that we connect to our soul, is how I would put it. I was guided incredibly strongly to write a how to manage anxiety book and to give people tools about how to manage anxiety. Now, I don't know if that was because we are coming up to a period where there is going to be a lot of anxiety in the world. There is already a lot of anxiety, though, that we don't tend to acknowledge. We take it for granted because we think it's normal. So we worry about something and we get into a state and the worry monster, as I describe it, starts nattering away in our mind. And so then, and anxiety is about worrying about an event in the future that may or may not happen. And it may or may not go well because we don't know, because none of us actually know. The only thing that any of us can know is what is happening in the here and now. So, for example, I am sat here talking to a computer screen with no idea of how many people are listening to me, but knowing that Steve has a wonderful following on Crossroads and on the radio show that he hosts, and on the podcasts that then allows me to share my message with you. And I know that other times we've done chats and we've had question and answer sessions. And I think next week it would be nice to have a question and answer. Teeth, we may have to change next week's date time actually because of the other events that are happening to me. But the next session that I do, whether it next week or the week after, it would be a question and answer session, I think. and a question and answer session around anxiety. So, having explained the kind of background to the book, which I'm just checking the time so that I'm not going to bore you all to tears, I'm now going to read you a section from the book. And it is, and you'll see me, and you've got my photo there on the back. I'm kind of excited. I love the colours. I love everything. I love everything about this little book. And it was always intended to be a small book. It was always intended to be an easy read. And it was always intended to be a how-to help people to manage and cope with their anxiety. And as I said, there's 9 different methods. But tonight I'm just going to read you the chapter which is about health and my worries about health. And ironically, those worries were not about me. They were about my sisters, whom I love dearly. So, ironically, this is not a chapter about ill health. This is not a chapter about my ill health, but that of my sisters and the worry that I allowed it to create. The first scare came when my younger sister Anne was experiencing a lot of pain in her joints and hips. She struggled to climb the stairs at the tender age of 33, and then was diagnosed with a condition known as lupus. It is an autoimmune condition and can be deadly. Emphasis on can be, not will be. It didn't help that I had nursed a young woman who had this disease, and she was stuck in my memory. When I nursed her, I learnt that a severe form of the disease could lead to death in a shorter time period as 5 years. So what did my worry monster do? It created images of my sister dead and dying and me at the funeral. I couldn't sleep for nights. Note, this is known as catastrophic thinking, and I was an expert. It is a pattern of thinking where I create an all-singing, all-dancing vision of what can go wrong, and then repeat and replay it consistently to myself. What's ironic is this kind of thinking, when applied to positive images, is a very good way of helping to achieve success. At this time, I was also beginning to explore holistic health and the notion that we create our own illness, and that illness serves a purpose for the individual. Essentially, our body listens in and creates solutions for outcomes that we want to achieve. My example for myself is how I created my hay fever. I was still at school and coming up to taking my O-levels. And yes, I am that old. As a healthy teenager, I was enjoying a social life that involved going out to various youth clubs on an evening. Studying for exams was not my priority. It was, however, rather important to my parents. And being the little people pleaser that I was, I didn't have the emotional resources or assertiveness skills to challenge their expectations. I did have a very strong urge to enjoy my nights out. My body, being the amazing entity that it is, got me sneezing regularly in the summer sun. What better excuse for not being able to concentrate on studying and for not performing well in an exam? The pattern was learnt and continued for many years, until I was exploring my holistic health. As soon as I realised the reason behind my initial symptoms, my hay fever literally disappeared. So back to my sister's health. I had a bad habit of thinking I was responsible to make sure that people did what was best for them, according to my model of the world. So I tried to tell my sister about this. Any points for guessing how my trying to impose my beliefs went down? Yep, you'll get the prize, like a lead balloon. What I came to recognise is that my sister sorts things in her own way. She does acknowledge how the disease came at certain points in her life and worsened at specific points later in life. And she also has an amazing ability to continue living a full life, whatever is happening with her health. Back to my worry monster. Many years later, as we were celebrating her 25th wedding anniversary with a renewal of her marriage vows on board a cruise ship, my same worries emerged again as a specific, I can't get my teeth straight around this, as a specific aspect of the disease had developed for her. Again, I'd got her dead in 5 years. I'm pleased to report that she's now been married 39 years, remembering this was for 25 years, so we're talking at least another 14 years later. And I love it when I'm proven wrong on these occasions. and her disease is stable. And there we are, there I am on Amazon, and you can find me at that purchase point. So when my twin sister became, and her disease is stable. So that's the good news around sister 1, sister 2. So then my anxiety around Anne has resolved, and I am much more able to acknowledge that Anne is an autonomous human being, a sovereign being whose health is her health that is related for that. Okay. And if you look at the price on Amazon, folks, you can get it for 99 pence on Kindle, and it's £12 on the hardback to get a copy like this. So then it's my twin sister's turn. So then my twin sister became my next health worry target. Wendy, I found blood in my urine and I know I haven't got an infection. These were the words my twin sister shared with me. We were both nurses. We both knew the implications for this. We are also part of a family that has a cancer gene. My mother died of bowel cancer, and each of her brothers and sisters had cancer in one form or another. My auntie had had bladder cancer, so the family history was repeating for Linda. That is also if you believe in the way it is purported in reductionist medicine. And for anybody that's wondering what reductionist medicine is, it's the form of medicine that is practiced by doctors that breaks diseases down into single things and doesn't adopt a holistic approach. Me and my sisters are all nurses. We were all well indoctrinated, look at that word again, indoctrinated, into the medical model of disease. It was at this time that I discovered just how much that indoctrination had affected me and had been absorbed into my system. When Linda was first diagnosed, I could not say the C word. I could not believe how hard I found it to say. I was a holistic health practitioner. I was a nurse. I was above these shortcomings. But it hit me in the gut every single time I tried to say it. The worry monster took hold. All the negative connotations of the C word came into play. As a nurse, I had been exposed to those people who died with cancer rather than the ones who survived. I cared for those with complications or who were too far along the disease process to recover. And to add to my own responses and inner conversations, it was astounding how people reacted when they heard the word cancer. And that every negative belief that I held. Nothing feeds back to me my limiting beliefs more than a shitty health diagnosis from a member of my family. So I got to researching, and Linda and I had come across the work of a chap called Dr. Hamer when we were learning NLP, that's neuro-linguistic programming. And I went back to that information. It wasn't until later that I found out that Linda had been too scared to even do this research. Her experience of the way that health practitioners took on the cancer sympathy expression at every meeting was also a big influence on this. It's no wonder that so many succumb to the expectations of the medical model. Dr. Hamer's information perfectly reflected the situation that had led to Linda developing this biological program in her bladder. I say thank you, Tad James, for introducing us to work to that work so many years ago. Knowing how much our beliefs are installed unconsciously over the years and how long we had been part of the medical establishment, Linda went for a belt and braces approach and a belt and braces form of treatment, using complementary therapies for the emotional healing and standard treatment to get rid of the growth. We had a magical experience during this time. Linda was wanting to release all the hurt and emotional pain that she was feeling. And we often worked together in a holistic fashion, and I was supporting her in this process. And part of the process we were using was to identify where the emotional pain is situated in the body and then use various processes to release it. I was still running with an undercurrent of my own anxiety and feeling the importance of the need to be of help. I felt helpless as it was, and then came my oh shit moment. She answered that it was in every cell in her body. I had no idea where to direct her to next, and I felt useless and wondered what the next step would be to try. I was never more aware of my limitations as a practitioner and a human being. What could I do? But the universe has a way of delivering its own wisdom, and the Creator directs us to what we need. And Linda had just that morning been doing a breathwork meditation, which triggered an idea in her. Knowing that blood takes oxygen to every cell in her body, and that she wanted to reach and heal every cell in her body, she decided to breathe in love, which is the greatest healer of all, and breathe out hurt. And all I could do was hold the space for her. And that means me focusing my love and attention on Linda and the intention of seeing her whole and healed. So I watched and I brought my breathing into sync with Linda's breathing. This is one of the most powerful methods of actually helping somebody else, and being and holding space for someone else is actually adopting their breathing pattern. And I was amazed when the room started to glow. I literally saw like a pink haze, a pink fog fill the room. The light changed to having a pink haze around Linda, and that pink haze stayed with her throughout the process. It was a beautiful confirmation that she was indeed breathing in love, because pink is the colour in spiritual terms that is associated with the heart chakra as well as the green, and with the energy of love. If you think about rose quartz, if you think about, I'm trying to think, that is a healing energy, and it's a healing energy of love. And look at me, I'm here holding that. I can feel that rose quartz in my hand as doing it. So it wasn't only Linda that was healed that day, though. It was me, because in terms of worrying, in terms of being anxious, seeing the energy and knowing its significance helped to put some aspects of my worried monster to bed that day, and reaffirmed my belief in a power far higher than my own. And that's the end of that chapter. And it's quite filled me up thinking about it. And I'm just going to share now the next, because it goes, the thoughts and beliefs that my worry monster was giving me was the believing in a myth of a family history and genetic influences, being influenced by other people's reactions to the cancer word, thinking that I'm responsible for the health and well-being of those who are close to me, because remember my reaction to Anne, and feeling as though it's my responsibility to kind of help and heal her, because it isn't. Feeling the fear created by choosing not to follow my guidance, which I know, which when my sister chooses not, by them choosing not to follow my guidance, when I know that I can be of help. And catastrophic thinking patterns that feed my past conditioning about medicine and health. So that's the having Anne in a grave within 5 years. And interestingly, that never occurred with Linda. I was just worried about, I never actually saw that thing where Linda was concerned. It was around Anne. And then the other is what I'd like to share now are the truths, the actual spiritual truths that I personally believe in, which you may or may not choose to take on. But it's about identifying the truths that hold within that enable us to get rid of the anxiety, the worry monster beliefs, and the lies and spiritual lies that go with it. So my first belief, my first truth now is, what I experienced yesterday is not a predictor of what I will experience today. So in other words, how I felt yesterday is not a predictor for the future. When you think about my sister and what I've experienced relating to lupus today is not a necessary what I'm going to experience tomorrow. That I allow other people their sovereignty, and they have an amazing ability to manage for themselves. That family history does not have to be my history. And there is a lot of research out there now by a chap called Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I've forgotten his name, who wrote The Biology of Belief. But within their research, there is evidence now that we can, so you may have a genetic disposition but we and our core and our self is in control of whether we switch it on or off. So whilst there may be a family disposition, it does not mean that it is a family inevitable. And illness serves a purpose. And when you work out the purpose, it is likely to enable the body to move into healing mode. And that's what it does when it's not stressed. When we're not in stress, when we're out of that, when we're out of the sympathetic nervous system, which is the stress system, and move into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the peace system. That's how we remember it, peaceful. Then we are in the healing mode when we are in the parasympathetic nervous system. And our autonomic nervous system operates when we are not out of our conscious awareness. We are not in conscious control of it. So in learning how to switch from one to the other, to be able to take a level of conscious control to switch you into the mode, because you don't think about breathing, you don't think about your blood, you don't think about how your blood pumps around your body, you don't think about how if you touch your finger you can feel it, and if you can feel the pain. These are all part and parcels of things which operate at an out of conscious control, as an out of conscious control mechanism. We don't think about which hormones we're releasing. The body does it out of our conscious awareness. So this is why it's so important to learn so many of the methods that are in this book that will switch you from that anxious mode into the which is the autonomic and stress mode, and is the sympathetic nervous system, and it'll switch you from that into the parasympathetic and the peaceful mode. And I hold a view that and another truth for me is I hold a view that the universe has my back and the back of all my relatives. And I therefore project that belief onto them. And it has been absolutely amazing how frequently those beliefs literally come true. So that's the end of that chapter. There are at least another 9 chapters in here for you to look at. They cover such things as stress at work. They cover my experience of having been in a cult. They cover my experience of being in a stressful job with a care home inspection. They cover my anxiety created by wanting to please people. And they cover about snapshots of anxiety in the COVID pandemic, and also the experience dying post-COVID world, which was more recently. So there's lots in there. There's lots of information in there that can help, and can help whatever the cause of your stress is. And at that, Steve, are you there for me to say bye-bye?
Yeah. And don't forget, guys, what we're doing is, if you kind of like get Wendy's book now, Crossroads is putting £1 towards every book is sold, and we will send the money to charity and everything. So it's a good book,
that is
and
cool.
it's on Amazon. Yeah, it's on
So
right
so
now,
you
and
spend £1, and Crossroads spends £1. If you get it on Kindle, it's just 99 pence.
yeah.
And that is lovely.
And yeah.
So thank you
Right.
for that, Steve. That is incredibly generous, and it's wonderful. It would be nice if it. Which charities do you support?
Well, what we're going to do, we're going to see how it goes, and then we'll contact, and you pick one, and we will send it off for you.
Well, I think seeing as it's around anxiety and that, Mind would be a nice charity, wouldn't it?
Well, we're always support in mind, and
Yeah.
that's good. Okay, that's good. So, guys, don't forget, you supported with me with my book. Now, I know you're listening out there, so please kind of support Wendy with her book.
Sorry,
it all helps.
Yeah. So
yeah. All right.
That is fantastic. Yeah, thank you so much for your support. And I'm really looking forward to when the conference
That's
comes
okay.
up in February, because then anybody that wants to come and get a signed copy, you'll be more than welcome. But that's well, I'm saying it's a way
Yeah,
off.
we're
But
meeting up next week. I'm sending.
yeah, time goes so quickly, doesn't it?
Oh God, doesn't it? It really does.
Yeah.
The time and everything goes so quickly. It's Christmas soon, isn't it?
Yeah, Christmas next, and then it's my birthday. Yay!
What's that? 80? Going to be 80?
18 again.
All
I'm not
right,
telling you.
18. All right
18.
then. Thank you very much.
So it's been an utter joy. Thank you so much, Steve. Were you listening? Did you get a chance to listen,
Yeah,
Steve?
yeah,
Did you enjoy that?
yeah.
Oh, good.
I was
Good, good.
listening. Don't worry.
Yeah.
If you
all right.
look down below, you can always see that I'm listening.
Yeah, I did.
So
Actually,
don't forget,
yes,
guys.
you posted things, didn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Don't forget, guys. All your questions. We're going to do question and answers and everything in a couple of weeks' time. So please get your questions in.
Yeah.
Look on the web. Yeah. All right.
That's smashing.
Okay.
I love you all. Thank you so much, and take care. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.